Hello everyone, I'm Fanya Aurinandita. In this moment, I'm going to talk about economic situation in Asia. For almost more than 2 years, we live in a world that feels like some fiction novel that comes to life. Many absurd deaths surfacing and not mentioning many tragedies that happened during this short period of time that caused many fears where hope scrambles everywhere. In fact, with the pandemic that going on, it feels surreal and affecting the entire nation around the globe. The worldwide spread of the COVID-19 pandemic has had a severe impact on the global economy. People all over the world are coming together and making concerted effort to deal with this economic shock. At the same time, we are seeing a global determination to overcome the current crisis and turn into an opportunity to achieve future growth. And as a business student, let me explore how best to overcome the challenge posed by COVID-19 and bring the global economy back on the path to growth. The global spread of COVID-19 has significantly restrained economic activity worldwide. In many economies, the GDP growth rate for April to June 2020 registered significant negative growth. Since then, with many countries and regions gradually resuming economic activity, economies have started to pick up. However, the pace of improvement has remained moderate. The spread of COVID-19 has not yet subsided globally, and many economies continue to be severely affected. A full-fledged recovery seems much further down the road. Economic conditions in Asia also remain served according to the Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Outlook 2020 update. Released in September, developing ASEAN countries will suffer a contraction for the first time in about 60 years. COVID-19 has affected ASEAN economies mainly through three channels. 1. A decrease in export reflection suppressed global economic activity. 2. A decrease in inbound-related demand against the background of entry restriction measure and policy reduction travel. And 3. A decrease in domestic private consumption reflecting business suspensions and people refraining from going outside. A fall in global and domestic demand has had a negative effect on corporate profits, wages, and business fixed investment. However, the severity of the impact has been mixed across ASEAN economy, depending on such factors as the extent of COVID-19 contagion, their industrial composition, and their room for fiscal maneuver. On the financial front, at the onset of COVID-19, some economies in the region experienced substantial capital outflows. However, ASEAN financial markets have gradually regained stability, and the overall impact on capital flows has been moderate compared with that of the ASEAN currency crisis in the 1990 or the global financial crisis in the late 2000. ASEAN financial markets have been able to weather the impact of COVID-19 in part due to increased resilience from the build-up of foreign currency reserve and also to the swift and aggressive implementation of fiscal and monetary policy measures. Financial support through regional and international cooperation mechanisms which have been developed and enhanced over the years has provided an additional layer of protection. I want to point out the roles and the future challenge for ASEAN economies. The main driving force for ASEAN economies of global growth over the past few decades has been drastically going strong and gathering all the strength that needed on the process. First is the development of advanced regional supply chains network spanning raw materials and intermediate goods and well as final good. Second is the progress made in trade liberalization through the concert achievement of trade agreements both within and outside the region. Third is the self-sustained growth of domestic demand supported by rising income from increase in production and trading activities. The interaction of the three driving forces has enabled Asia to grow both as a manufacturing-based factory Asia and a consumer-based consumer Asia. However, COVID-19 has exposed some potential weakness in this driving force. Supply chains in Asia have been disrupted due to strict public health measures, such as stay-at-home order and business and production suspension. ASEAN and global trading volumes have declined steeply, and demand in the travel and tourism sector has virtually evaporated. Domestic demand has been weak in many Asian economies, reflecting the deterioration in employment and income conditions. In the short term, we need to contain the spread of COVID-19 while supporting economic activity. To this end, support measures for households and businesses that have been hard hit need to be continued. But it is in time like this that we should keep moving forward and envision what may come after the crisis to prepare ourselves for the next shock and achieve sustainable economic growth. In this sense, it is important for Asia to continue strengthen its role in the global economy as factory Asia and consumer Asia. Strong economic growth in the Asia region has supported the global economy in this recovery from the global financial crisis. In 2008, ASEAN economies accounted for about 30% of global GDP, but by 2019, this had increased to about 40%. Therefore, it is only natural that the world looks to Asia with expectation for its support and for it to be a driver of economic recovery in the current economic downturn. The recent pandemic has exposed certain vulnerabilities in ASEAN supply chain networks, as many businesses have suffered disruption to their supply chains and a decline in production. In response to this challenge, Asia firms have already started to reform their supply chains. In this regard, firms are not focusing exclusively on reshoring, rather in order to make their supply chain more resilient to shocking, they are looking to disperse and diversify production location and procurement source, and the establish multi-layered supply chains. Firms are also strengthening supply chain management to enhance agility in terms of responding to change in environment by visualizing the procurement, production, and supply situation of their particular business base. Asia has traditionally been susceptible to supply chain disruption caused by natural disruption, and some ASEAN firms had strengthened their supply chains accordingly. These firms have been rewarded with a swift recovery from the recent shock. Moving forward, more will leverage the lesson learned recently and take measures to further strengthen their supply chains. COVID-19 has also brought significant change to various aspects of our daily lives. This had led to change in demand for goods and services. To exploit this new demand, many firms, including in Asia, have begun to shift and strengthen their business focus accordingly, even as they continue their fight against COVID-19. More than ever, companies must be agile in order to adapt to the changing environment and capture new demand arising from the expansion of digital networks, online healthcare, and education services, as well as the growth of e-commerce. In the longer term, their business reforms are expected to boost productivity. Asia's service sector has long been known for in its low productivity. However, the landscape has been changed dramatically in recent years, as illustrated by the especially strong growth of e-commerce in Asia. This is expected to improve the resilience of consumer Asia by generating new consumption and investing, as well as increasing wages. From a longer-term perspective, Asia must address its challenge in order to achieve sustainable economic growth. The key to achieving this goal is to work toward realizing an inclusive green and digital economy. While this will involve a great deal of time and effort, the rewards are expected to outweigh the cost. There is no trade-off involved between moving toward an inclusive green and digital economy and achieving economic growth over the longer term. Rather, they are complementary. One of the barriers to achieving an inclusive economy is the insufficient development of social security system in many developing and emerging Asian countries. Gaps in social protection not only made it difficult to respond to the recent pandemic but also widen economic inequality. Developing and emerging Asian economy will need to find effective means to enhance their healthcare and social security system and to promote investment in human capital, including education. This effort will improve financial inclusiveness and in turn act as a stepping stone to decreasing poverty. On the financial front, progress in financial inclusion is becoming more crucial to the promotion of economic growth and the alleviation of inequality. Today, I have discussed the impact and the challenge posed by COVID-19 on the global economy with a focus on Asia economy. Many of the challenges Asia economy now face are common to the global economy. The issues are wide-ranging and not easy to tackle. However, by overcoming and learning from this challenge, the global economy will be better positioned to achieve sustainable and balanced development. There is a phrase in Japan's Fuki-rukyo, which refers to the attitude of accepting and adapting to change even while continuing to uphold the basics that do not change. The recent pandemic has prompted us to rethink our views and action. Globalization itself, which has the basis of the global economic growth before the crisis, is now being questioned, and some have a growth from the need to rewind. However, no matter how it may change in form or structure, the fundamental importance of globalization to the global economy will not change. I have had the honor today to connect virtually with a global audience, but in terms of human interaction, the significance of face-to-face communication in ancient, now we are faced with the challenge of identifying those of our views and action that should now change and those that should in order to adapt to the new environment. I very much look forward to exchanging views with you again face to face in the near future. Thank you for your kind attention.